have our esteemed guest, Dr. Saurav Anand. So we'll be talking on two aspects. I have requested him because it's a 1 week program. Otherwise, it should have been like in two sessions. So I requested him to focus on talked about the Access Justice Funded trial and the transgender. So I request Rutuja to give a brief introduction of our esteemed speaker. Over to you, Rutuja.
So, am I audible? Shall I start?
Yes,
The
yes,
strength
sir.
of justice lies in its ability to reach those whom society often leaves behind. Respected principal, distinguished faculty members, resource persons, and dearest participants. Good evening to one and all. On behalf of K.L.E. Society's Law College Chikkodi, as we came to the final day of our 1 week faculty development program organized in association with Pro Bono India, we are privileged to host today's session on the topic Justice Beyond Barriers, Ensuring Equality for Transgenders and Under Trial Prisoners. We are honored to have with us Dr. Saurabh Anand, PhD in Sociology and Law Interdisciplinary, UGC NET qualified, and currently serving as Associate Professor of Sociology. And with over 2 decades of teaching, research, and extensive field engagement, his work lies at the intersection of law, society, criminology, prison administration, gender justice, and social inclusion. We are confident that his address will deepen our understanding of justice beyond legal frameworks and institutional barriers. On behalf of K.L.E. Society's Law College Chikkodi and Pro Bono India, I extend warm welcome to Sir and I extend my warm welcome to the Sir and invite him to share his insights with the participants. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rijuta. Hopefully, I'm audible to you, sir. Kalpesh, sir. First of all, thank you for the opportunity. I really extend my thanks to Dr. Kalpesh Kumar Gupta from Pro Bono India, then to our esteemed principal, sir, Solapuri, sir, from K.L.E.Society Law College, Professor Sarfaraj, sir, from K.L.E. Law College, and Srihati, sir, again from K.L.E.Society Law College, and all the dear participants for first of all to attending this FDP. I will also take an opportunity with the permission of the organizer to introduce one of my a close friend and one of the renowned global speaker which we are having for today, Manvinder Singh Gohil. Because I request also Kalpesh sir to share the details about Manvinder Singh to the participants to know about more about him. So, because this topic, for example, for me, I'm associated as a subject teacher of sociology, but also this subject has been very close to me in different aspect. And I thought as a speaker, when I'm going to speak about the understanding from my academic perspective, they also need to have the people who is from that particular community who is going to give some glimpse. I'm not at all saying that at least because all my participants are the esteemed faculty members. So definitely this can be a kind of having some new understanding from the other end also. So I also humbly welcome our esteemed speaker Manu Singh Goyal along with me for today's session. So because it's a long session for me, because almost 60 plus slides I'm having. So just to give a brief understanding, because we try to look across the human anatomy only in two aspects. That is, one is male and one is female. So this is the general perspective which we are brought up in. So, but again, just to make some clarity, a small video just to make you understand how things are changing and why, as a teacher, as a faculty, we also need to look upon the new definitions which is coming across to us. A small video just to explain how things are happening over here. It is with a symbol, but you understand how the identity is changing for all of us. Hopefully, it's audible to all of you. hopefully this particular small understanding with the video, which just to make us sure that how the definition of the human anatomy, which we try to look across only from the male versus female, is so wider in understanding. So just because as a law teacher, most of you, I assume that most of you from the law background, they need to have the sociological understanding on the concept of the sex and gender. So when you say talk about sex over here, sex is the physical attributes by birth which you are possessing to have. So it's by birth someone is having the identity of yours. So it is male versus female or something with the intersex variation, which we try to understand how things are there. Now in today's time when you talk about it, so there are so many examples in front of us where the people have changed their own sexual identity itself. Like the boy, you're born into something else, but you have become adopted some new identity of yours. So sex can be altered. So in case of trans person who are born with a sex characteristic and gender identity of other, gender affirmative surgeries are performed. Why I'm saying gender affirmative surgeries, please mark over these words because this term will be further need to be learned by all of you when we talk about a Transgender Protection Act of 2019, because this term is there into it. So need to understand how things are changed. Need to basic clarity has to be there. So intersex person can are those who have a combination of sex features both as male and female, or have ambiguous or atypical sexual organs, whether internal or external. People often confuse intersex person with transgender. So we have to clarify the basic terminologies when you talk about the transgender, when you talk about it. There's so many things. That's why with the particular earlier video, I want to make it clear that we have to first of all break the ice ceiling or the glass shield which we're carrying in our head, in our brain, that only this is the identity of an individual. This is not correct. So gender is a kind of social construction, socio-psychological construction, which we say that how you are being presented with the different kind of roles, opportunities associated as being known as male or female. So transgender person are not necessarily born with intersex variations, which I just not cleared over here. So intersex variation is a biological feature, a normal human variation of sexual characteristics, while transgender is a gender identity. So this is a difference between both. Intersex variation, which is by birth, someone is having by birth certain different kind of sexual or not properly developed. This is by birth it is intersex which we talk about. It's a biological feature. Well, transgender is gender. It's a much more bigger term, which will come across also that. So these are also kind of understanding a person internal individual experience of gender may or may not correspond with the sex assigned at birth. Like for example, I'm born as a male, but I'm not feeling comfortable in a male. So it is my how the gender I am now going to take it further. So including the personal sense of body, which may involve a freely chosen modification of bodily appearance or function by medical, surgical, or other means, and other expression of gender, including dress, speech, and mannerism. So this is we have to keep it in mind that today when we talk about it transgender, so it's much more bigger term, it's much more wider term. So it is a big umbrella. I'll come on that also how things are changing. So this concept which you come across as cisgender. This term also need to be learned by all of you is cisgender. A cisgender is a person whose gender identity and gender assigned to them at the birth are the same. For example, an individual who was assigned a gender male at birth based on certain biological markers and their identity as a male would be categorized as. So there is a difference between the male we talk about, this is cisgender we talk about it here. A transgender person is whose gender identity is different from the gender assigned at birth. So this is how it come across. An umbrella term for those who do not conform to cis binary men and women in terms of gender expression is known as gender non-conforming persons. So things are changing. We have to be much more wider. I'm continuously doing this thing that we talk about the rights of the transgender. So we need to have the basic clarity what we are trying to speak about it. Individuals may be gender non-conforming expression regardless of their gender identity. I have taken the example of Duti Chand. Duti Chand, she has been a sports person. Why so talking about, because this is a very famous case that's come across. A movie has been made also on it, because she is a sportswoman. It is assumed that in her body the testosterone is a kind of hormone which is talk about it, which is generally we believe it's being mostly being found in male. This is a kind of assumption which we are carrying, but it is a person having testosterone indicates a person is a male. But due to chance body, that the body of the sports person naturally produce a high level of testosterone that places her in the male range in competitive international sports, which initially led to a disqualification from international sports event. So make it clear how things are changing. So here, one of the promising sports person of the country has been disqualified by our own sports arena because see, in her body there is a extra excessive, I can say, secretion of the particular hormone, which is generally being assumed, we assume that it's being found only in male. So there's another case also in front of me, that which I come across, Michael Phelps also, one of the prominent, I can say, the Olympic swimmer, which we have a huge respect as a individual. But again, he's also similar kind of thing, but he is been I can say accepted in his own country. So this we have to keep it in mind how things are need to be explored, need to accepted. So when you talk about the entire understanding of the transgender, we have they officially declared at the international level 31st March observed as the International Transgender Day of Visibility. It is the purpose is just because this kind of individuals, this kind of people are living next to us. So we have to accept that these are not something different from us. They are amongst us. They are the part of us. So this is how we talk about according to Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act 19. A transgender person is someone whose gender identity does not align with the gender assigned at birth. So in our society, we have identified especially, I'll come on the a little bit about the historical understanding, how this entire thing which we say in our society, they are a part of our own community, how they become at the lowest level of the society, how they become got that kind of a transformation. I'll come on that also. So today we talk about LGBTQIA plus. So this is a very broader term, which is plus. It means come across that they can be further new kind of identity can be further added to it, which can further explode to us. It can be further. That's how they. This is a bigger umbrella. So it is expanding every day. So transgender is an umbrella term for a person whose gender identity is not conforming to the associated with sex. Already we just talked about it. And already I talked about also about that there is a kind of gender assisted therapy, which is with the surgery, people can change their own sexual identity and adopt a new one. So this is also permissible as per the law nowadays. So just to give a background about how things have been there. So when you talk about the Indian society, so we have to be proud about the Indian society. When you talk about Indian society, especially when talking Indian, I'm talking Indian society. When you talk about the Indian religion over here, there are different kind of characters in our religious text, which has identified that they belong to the third gender, the other gender, which you say, or TG, which say transgender. They were equally respected in our community, in our religious worship, in our society at large. So there was nothing and something, it's a kind of derogatory term. Why derogatory term came across, I'll come on that also. So we have different kind of characters in our religious text. We have different kind of god and goddesses, which has been known that they have a different gender. So this is someone has to accept that our society is always progressive in accepting things. How things changed. The things changed because of the colonial rule. In colonial rule, how the things happen? Because we try to identify the individuals born and accepted only in the heterosexual community only. A person can be born as a male. Sorry. A person can be born as a female because of the British colonial rule. They only identify heterosexual partners. And this is the kind of the lowest label of the identity for the transgender society. How things deteriorated later on. First of all, they brought this entire community, which was the part of a mainstream society, under the Criminal Tribes Act. The Criminal Tribes Act of 1871, which is they consider the habitual criminals. They have been brought under the last stage within the society hierarchy. That they are the ones, those who do not have to be respected, they have been put in this way. Another big thing which we come across about the section 377. Because 377 was introduced by Thomas Macaulay. And again, they consider any kind of the relationship which is carnal intercourse is considered as against the order of the nature. Because why I'm saying such? How things happen there? Because we have to bring back to the earlier understanding how the colonial rules brought this kind of sexual relationship to be in practice. So this one has to keep it in mind today, which me have said that we have, I can say, we have with the noticing George judgment will come in, that also we have in non-penalized, we have made section 377. But again, it has a background in the colonial history. So when you talk about the different kind of movements happen as to get the recognition, in 1981 we had the first All India Hijra conference which took place. Then 1981 with the AIDS Bhed Bhav Virodhis Andolan. So there's something which just to give an understanding. Then something which we come across about the Supreme Court in the famous Suresh Kumar Kausal and another was the Nas Foundation and others. This particular judgment become one of the important landmark judgment in the history of the transgender rights movement. Nas Foundation case, which we will come across what is Nas judgment, Nas Foundation. So this is for the first time the Delhi High Court has given the recognition that this kind of individuals are also accepted in our society. And again, this judgment was further kind of setback came with the in the Supreme Court, which they have considered to take it back. So this is how we talk about the how the transgender in a society has been accepted. Like we take the blessing of the particular community, like in from a hijrah which we come across to bless the newborns, newlywed, so to bring prosperity. This is a very official and pious way of accepting them in a society. So when this kind of people are there to give blessing to be the part of the mainstream, how they can be considered as the criminals or at the lowest level, how they should be put in this way. So this is a kind of way, a different kind of situation in front of us, dichotomy in front of us. It's difficult to make up this thing. Then Kubakam festival is they celebrated in Tamil Nadu with a mythological story of Lord Aravan and his union with transgender community. Jogappas again in Karnataka and Maharashtra. Then this is how we talk about the Nalsa judgment was there before that. That is the first time the recognition of transgender in the official way we say. The third gender has been recognized by the Supreme Court. Then K.S. Swami's judgment is there in front of us, which has given a right to privacy in which we have been accepted that a person can have the right to, I can say, put whatever gender identity he or she wants to have it. So this is how very important judgment come across. And the important judgment in the history of transgender movements is Navtej Singh George judgment. In this judgment, the Supreme Court strike down the section 377, which decriminalized the same-sex relationship. And after that, which led to the, I can say, upcoming of the Transgender Person Protection of Rights Act 2019, which granting legal recognition and prohibiting discrimination against transgender individuals. So just to bring how to give a brief understanding how Navtej Singh judgment is considered as a landmark judgment, because Supreme Court has stated that Section 377 as irrational, indefensible, and manifestly arbitrary. You see the word of it, because word always played very important role while they are writing or declaring any judgment, because it's something which has been created, not something which is by nature. Nature has not made that kind of segregation. Nature has given everyone has their own identity, and we respect in that. But someone is forcibly asking you to believe in this way, so it is irrational, indefensible, and manifestly arbitrary. And that is how this judgment led to the decriminalization of Section 377. The second part of my, especially just to give understanding about the LGBT, when you talk about the entire transgender, the different kind of challenges and discrimination which the people of this community they face. First one is social stigma. Just I told in the previous slide that they are being brought up in the different kind of religious occasion, that the newly wedding, the birth of child, getting their blessing in our family. But how they are being considered when someone declared himself or herself that they are from the particular third gender. How they become the subject of prejudice, harassment, bullying, violence. There's something which we have to come across, that this kind of people are facing every day, now and then. There's a kind of isolation and marginalization for them. We reject such kind of people if someone declare in our own family that he or she belongs to the other third gender. Sorry. So family rejection is an important part which I just mentioned earlier. Stereotypical misrepresentation, because already I mentioned in the previous starting lecture only that we have made our mental status in such a manner that we don't want to see the sexual and gender identity other than male and female. So this is something which we have been brought up in, but we need to break that particular thought process, and that is how we have to. This is a thing we bring in front of you. Violence and hate crimes. It is because they are facing every day, which will come across through the next part of the session also. Educational barriers, employment discrimination. You may have seen that in many places this particular third gender are being either being involved in the begging or involved in the process of the sexual work, which these people are mostly because they're not getting any kind of employment. There's no any such kind of economic opportunity for them, despite they may be highly intellectual. But I can see the situation in front of me. Healthcare disparities, because this is also very discrimination in the healthcare providers, which deter the transgender individual from seeking medical care, including a gender affirming procedure. So this is how we talk about it, how transgender is facing. Another survey found that 27% denied care due to the gender identity and gender treatment cost, which is between 2 to 5 lakhs. So when I say that these people belong to the lowest section of society, they are the vulnerable groups. So it's a bit difficult for them to accept how they can get this kind of economic support. So this is something discrimination which we find over here. Intersection challenges. Sorry. So because they are mostly because in our society they are different kind of strata. So most of this particular community either they belong to Dalits, tribal communities, religious minorities, and those with disabilities. Why I'm saying they are belonging to majority of them? Because these people always face a lot of discrimination in society. Those who are from the well-to-do family, those who are from that, they are able to get some kind of acceptance. I'm not say fully acceptance, but some kind of acceptance they get. But majority of the people they belong to this particular section. So that is how they are interesting challenges in front of them. Then we talk about the manipulative counseling, conversion therapy. So it become difficult how to change yourself the way you have been brought up now with the new identity which you have to take up. So this thing is very difficult to accept. There's some kind of discrimination which we face. Absence of legal recognition. Maybe we have the law. I'm not all denying in it. Maybe we have the law, but again, there's need to more work on it. Despite the 2019 Act mandating timely support for transgender person, only 65%, you see the number, of the ID card application has been processed by December 2023, with over 32 applications delayed beyond the 30-day legal deadline. Lack of comprehensive policy on gender identity, non-binary gender, clear legal framework for transgender rights remains a challenge. Implementation is a gap, because who are the people who are going to implement them? They are people like me and you only. Those who have been brought up in such an environment, only there are two kind of identity, either male or female. So they are the, first of all, that is the structural barrier. They are the human barriers, those who are not willing to accept them. So this is something which we have to keep it in mind, how things come across. I already mentioned about the economic challenges, that most of they are not getting the economic opportunity. That's why they are being involved in the begging. They're involved in the sexual trafficking. I can say sexual workers in which they involve into. So this one is keep it in mind, because we don't have that kind of opportunity for them. 92% face economic exclusion. This is a report of NHRC. 48 unemployment rate. Despite 2025 circular, John Econ's financial access remains limited due to pure awareness and institutional gaps. So this we have to keep it in mind. There's some data, the figures, which can clearly make us to understand how the transgenders are being treated in our society. Because we're talking about the mainstream, when the people are living in the mainstream, how they are being treated, and we think about situation when the person is going inside the prison. What shall be his or her situation when there is no such a right which we try to speak, that prison which we able to provide. In our main society, we are not able to provide that. The things will be something different or much more difficult to accept over there. And this is how we talk about that, how the culture policing that perceive transgender people as deviant. Something which we have accepted, that already mentioned in the previous slide of mine, that there was a Criminal Tribes Act. Because we have made up in such a manner that these people are the criminals. These are people who are deviants. They are not like me. That's why they are deviant. That is a sociological definition of the people, those who look different from me, different from us. So they are deviant. So that's how the transgender people are always considered as the lowest level in the society. This is about the particular act from us. There's something which we have to keep in mind how things have been there, because then only I go in the next level. This act is to protect the rights of transgender person, provide legal framework. There should be non-discrimination for them. Self-identification, they should be allowed to identify in whichever gender they want to have. And with the certificate issued by the district without medical exams, make it clear over here. Medical care, ensuring access to gender affirming treatment and HIV surveillance with insurance coverage. Access to healthcare, including hormone therapy and gender affirming operation, is guaranteed by Act. Just now, which I told gender affirming operation. In the previous slide, I just mentioned about that thing. I see myself as a male, but I have the much more identity myself as a female. So there's a kind of gender affirming operation for me, which is being allowed as per that. There's a need for setting up the National Council of Transgender Person as a statutory body in 2020. Punishment for sexual abuse, forced labor, and denial of services can lead to the 2 years of imprisonment. This is the act which you talk about it. So this is a particular the council has been set up. You had also come across whether in all parts of India, in all the states of India, whether this council is working or not in different states. This is a particular rule. I'm not going in much more detail over here because we are also going to respect the time of the session. Then it is all about the function of the National Council, which is in front of us. What is the purpose? Advising central government, monitoring and evaluation, reviewing and coordinating, redressing grievances of transgender person, and other function which is prescribed by the center. And I can say the composition already mentioned over here. Chairperson should be from the Union Minister for Social Justice Empowerment, representative from 5 states, 5 members of the transgender committee, from 10 central departments, along with the Department of Pension. There's some different kind of composition about the council which we talk about it. What are things happening into it? This is something which we also need to keep across, that after the 2019, the government has made a lot of, I can say, progressive, positive steps to include the transgender communities in the main society. So there's something the government has started the SMILE scheme, because to provide that kind of rehabilitation package for the individuals from that community. The existing shelter homes available in that scheme. The Garima Gri by Minister of Social Justice, Ayushman Bharat, TG Plus has been made up by the National Health Authority. National Portal for Transgender Persons, transgender pension schemes, and state level efforts like in Maharashtra, transgender cells have been set up in colleges, and in Kerala, university level reservation and hostel facilities for transgender persons has started. So there are some positive things which we need to highlight, because we should not become such kind of teacher that we always have the habit of criticizing the system. Yes, there are different flaws in the system. We do not disagree on it. But whatever positive things are happening, we also need to highlight that there are some things happen in this direction. Because we have to that's the purpose of this FDP, is that we need to check the historical understanding. How in the history we have identified these people of transgender. What is the reason for them from the highest level to the lowest pedestal in the society? Why it has made up in such a manner? What happened after 2019? Why it is happening in that? So this is how we need to learn about that. Now, this is important for all of us as a student, as a faculty, or not as a student, say, excuse me for that. As a faculty, this is important because these are guidelines set up by the advisory to the head of prison in the state UT to ensure privacy, dignity of the third gender inmates. Because 2019, after 2019, only this such a positive things happening in this direction. According to the International Crime Record Bureau, there were 70 transgender persons in jail across the country in the 2020. This is data by the government, which has been made up by the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, which they have made up to all the state governments. And keeping in view the need for insurance safety of transgender person to protect them against any form of exploitation in the country's prison and correctional facilities, following suggestions have been made. Now, this thing become interesting for all of us. This is the highlight of the state government, of the central government. What needs to be done for the transgender who are inside the prison? Then we come across how things happened in reality. कैसे बदलता है? According to a report in the Times of India, the National Institute involving 60,000 transgender participants in 7 states indicated that the largest perpetrator of violent transgender involves police and the law enforcement agencies. So you see the number. Despite we say these are people, those who need to support us, protect, they are also the part of the problem in our own society. The first thing is about that, as by Minister of Home Affairs, identity. A transgender person shall have the right to recognize in accordance with the provision of Transgender Protection Person Protection Rights Act 2019. Whichever identity I belong to, that is my identity. So that has to be protected. And this is the right to self-perceived gender identity. This is the instruction given by the Minister of Home Affairs to all the prison authorities in India. Infrastructure in prison, you see how things are there. Appropriate arrangement for providing suitable accommodation facility in accordance with the gender identity may be made in the prison. This is the guideline. A separate enclosure ward. Things we need to learn later on whether this guidelines is happening in toto or not. So that will be the last portion of our session. While making provision for separate enclosure for transient prisoners, due care may be taken prison authority. This may not result in their complete isolation or propagate social stigma among such prisoners. You may create separate, I can say, ward for them, but they should not be considered they are being totally socially boycott. That should not happen. There's a need for privacy and dignity in regard to separate toilets for trans men and trans women and shower facility inside the prison. So we're talking about in the prison over here. Self-identity with respect already mentioned over here that how things need to be there. And again, there is a particular online portal has been set up by the government in which people can try to get the identity card for themselves, how things need to be there. Admission in prison. The prison admission register may suitably revised to include transgender as category other than male and female. There are two categories already mentioned over here, but there's a need for the third category also. So again, this is how I need to identify the third gender is to be there in the prison record manual when they are segregating the prisoners as male or female. The third identity should be added to it. Search of transgender prisoners. The search of transgender person may be conducted by a person of the preferred gender. Underline the word preferred gender, or by a trained medical professional or a paramedic with necessary training on conducting research. This is something which we have to keep in mind about safety, privacy, and dignity of the person being searched. They should not be considered they are the such individuals, those who are treated like an outsider or a particular kind of criminal. This kind of thought process which we are prevailing need to be changed. That's how the purpose is that. At this stage, the search process should require it must be done in a private room or in a partition. They should not be made up in public in that any manner or in front of those in which he or she is not feeling comfortable. Access to healthcare. So this is also very important for us. How things need to be taken without a discrimination on the ground of their gender identity. Communication with the outside world. So the need for such kind of the communication should be provided. Regional facilities should be provided among the people of the transgender prisoners. Aftercare rehabilitation, these are something which is there as per the Minister of Home Affairs, which they have given instruction to all the prison authorities. Training and sensitization of prison personnel. So they need to get a kind of understanding of gender identity, gender dysphoria, human rights, sexual orientation, legal framework for transgender persons, training of medical officers. So this needs a part of the guidelines. Now think it need to look from the other end now. There's a particular committee set up by the retired Justice Amitav Roy to give a clarity how the prison authorities are working. To prison reform chaired by former Judge Justice Amitav Roy, the purpose is that to examine the various problems plaguing prisons in the country, from overcrowding to lack of legal advice to convict to issue of so this is the objective committee. I'm not going in that. The committee, the timeline is very important for all of us. The committee has submitted a report in the December 2022. And again, as per timeline, 2019, we have the TG Act in practice. Finding, what is the finding which were for us? Overcrowded, at least most of you know that other the prison is overcrowded, especially the condition of female prisoners is there. Now, which is highlight for all of us for today's session, is condition of transgender prisoners highlighted by Justice Amitav Roy Committee. Prison authorities mentioned in as per the report, only 13 states and 2 UT have designated a complaint officer to deal with complaints of violation of rights of transgender inmates in prisons. Majority of states and UTs have not formulated welfare schemes for transgender prisoners. The Indian penal system, which already reeling under systemic weakness like overcrowding, shortage of staff, and poor medical care, turns particularly inhospitable to transgender prisoners who are often exposed to violence, negligence, and institutional difference. You see the highlight of the report, how the report itself has mentioned that the transgender prisoners are not getting that basic access of human dignity and right which has been there. Transgender individuals in custody remains exceptionally vulnerable despite judicial recognition of their identity because the prison system remains a binary structure. Underline the word binary structure. That is male versus female, and does not recognize or cater to gender diversity. So this is we have to keep it in mind. How till today's time also there is a need to look upon the particular identity of the individual only in binary section. So this is something we have to keep it in mind how things have been reflected upon. A famous case study which most of you must be knowing also, but again maybe I can kind of repeating over here. This is a particular trans woman, Kiran Gawli, whose particular arrest has been made at say, Nagpur Central Jail, and she has written a particular small booklet known as Kiran A Dastan, which has become very important to highlight the plight and condition of the transgender prisoner inside the jail. So she has mentioned that a trans woman who was arrested for 17 months in men's prison, you understand? She's a trans woman, but where she is kept in a men's prison, sharing quarter with 2,000 men. In which already before that there are already 5 other transgender women inside the main prison. You see the situation in front of you. She was a woman in self-identification and feared being treated badly. She was housed in the men's wing without consulting her or taking her safety into consideration. A case study just in front of you, just making understand. If you're protesting, it means only one thing can be done inside the prison, that you are going to be raped by the other male prisoners over there. So this is a very horrifying situation, which a particular transgender inmate has written in her own book, which has, you can find this thing is available on the internet also. I'm not putting something, a hypothetical situation. It is there. Throughout her imprisonment, she and other trans women were subject to harassment, sexual assault by other inmates and officials, and institutional silence when they complain. You see the word. Because she had written a lot of letters, there are 5 letters, because there's another person, Uttam, who is also, I can say, associated with Kiran Gawli. They have written a letter to the jail authorities, but there's complete silence on it. So we talk about the right judicial, the barriers. There's something we need to highlight it. So we need to understand how things are, and I have given the particular, I can say, the link also from where you can read the same entire story of the particular case study of Kiran Gawli. In jail, the trans women are placed in separate ward assigned only to those suffering from infectious diseases like tuberculosis, leprosy, scabies, and HIV. The prisoners here are neglected, and so is the barrack. Kiran said they would be in constant fear of getting infected. So, in case someone is suffering from the health issues, only those individuals are being kept in the separate barrack. She has written a particular respected judge. Is there no constitutional provision of a safeguard for transgender women's right in prison? Are we not Indian citizens? Are we placed among male prey only to satiate the lust of the prison official and other prisoners? So this is a very, I can say, painful, I can say, word being written by Kiran Gawli addressing to the jail authorities and the judges over there. How things need to be looked upon inside the jail. Why I'm saying inside the jail? Because this particular access is limited for the common individuals. common men do not know what is happening inside the jail premises. So this is very highlight for all of us to know. There's certain kind of internal human rights standards which we need to look upon how things happen there. These are Nelson Mandela rules which we there. There's a Yogyakarta principles, Yogyakarta plus 10 that we come across, just to give some briefing understanding. The Nelson Mandela rules, especially known at the international human rights perspective, that it is for giving the minimum treatment for the prisoners inside the jail. That's why, because Nelson Mandela rules become so important for all of us as a minimum standard which need to be given. But there's also a catching, the catch situation, the entire thing. There's nothing mentioned about transgender individuals. So there's nothing in that. But again, people consider as a very on the highest pedestal on the Nelson Mandela rules for the prisoners' right. So that's why I'm reflecting over here. The core principles of what they are: human dignity, prohibition of torture, impartiality, safety and security. So there's something which need to be reflected upon in the thing. But again, the which I just not told that Nelson Mandela rules only speak of two kind of dichotomy, binary dichotomy, it is male and female, not about third gender. So that is how we come across. No special mention was made of single vulnerability of LGBTI plus for inside jail, despite those recognizing the vulnerability of female inmates. So this thing is something being a criticism of Nelson Mandela rules for by the transgender scholars and the activists, those who are writing for the cause of transgender across the globe. This is very important for all of us to know. Yogyakarta principle is an important aspect for giving the recognition to the transgender, but it is a kind of assembly of the civil rights activists, academicians, those who assembled at Yogyakarta in Indonesia to address the issues of the rights of LGBTQIA. According to this principle, each person deeply felt internal and individual experience of gender, which may or may not correspond with the sex assigned at birth, including the personal sense of the body, which may involve a freely chosen modification of bodily appearance or function by medical, surgical, or other means, and other expressions of gender, including dress, speech, and mannerism. Now, the people, those who are the scholars working for a transgender subject, they are asking the Yogyakarta principle to be accepted across the countries and especially by the UN itself, that they can make it binding for everyone, for all the 192 countries. So there's something which we come across that how things have been highlighted for prisoners, transgender prisoners. So what are things need to be done? What are the future which we look across? Strengthening a legal framework. That very much all it doesn't mean that law has been there, that people now have access to everything. There's a need for strengthening a legal framework. Economic empowerment, which is very important. An individual, if they are financially empowered, he or she or they, I put a word now, they are not going to be involved in any such kind of inhuman activity like begging or in the sex work activities. So they need to be included in mainstream society, like all of us who are working as a teacher, the faculty in the respected colleges or universities over here. Healthcare facilities should be given to all the individuals of the TG community. Promoting social awareness, that's how the purpose is about that. I am really thankful to the organizer, K.L.E. College and Pro Bono India for making a subject of transgender as a part of the FDP. The more we speak, the more we read, the more better we can become ourselves, and also we can teach to our younger students about the how it need to be break the early existing thought of social biasness, prejudice, and accept the new things from us. So this is our role and duty. International best practice need to be accepted, like in the country like Argentina, Canada, and the UK, how they are coming across. Transgender inclusive policies need to be there. Addressing social concerns, so that is like provision of free legal aid, supporting education and social entitlement as per the transgender community suggested by NALSA judgment need to be there. Financial security, transgender person also. This is a report I can say will share with you. I can say You can check the report, I can say available on the internet also. There's a report, Lost Identity, being I can say made up by CHRI, in which the team members of CHRI, they have made a comprehensive study on the rights of transgender inside the prison. So it's a well-read document which can be accessed by any one of you. What a training, what a recommendation which we need to keep it in mind. There's an identity-based placement, shift from genitalia or birth sex to self-identified gender. This is very important. How I am born into should not be the way of my identity. How I assume myself, how I perceive myself should be the consider of the identity over here. Comprehensive training. At least we have to accept this thing that our jail officers, they need to continuously go under training. They have been trained in that situations long time, and how they will suddenly change. So they need for training. They need for making them aware. Policy revision, data collection, which can we make up in that way. Role of educators become important as we can help in reducing the gaps and make our society more inclusive across gender and cultivate the younger ones to be more empathetic and accept the individual without any biases and prejudice. This is also even a report by the Supreme Court itself. According to the training manual for basic code for prison officer, which was implemented of the Supreme Court Order of Inhuman Condition in 1328 prisons, transgender individuals are included under unspecified special category of prisoners, along with the prisoner with disability and mental health care. You see the situation which is on record across the jail. They are not able to make that segregation till date. So this official document I'm just quoting over here. This is a violation of NASA judgment because transgender person considered separate legal category and not an unspecified category. So already we are flaunting the judgment which is being reflected to all of us. This particular new judgment has come across. So that's a way forward. Chain Conservative Union of India. This is a very important judgment to acknowledge by Justice J.B. Pardiwal and R. Madhavan about the bureaucratic neglect and reformation of constitutional compassion. So it is about the identity of the transgender which has been reflected in this judgment. A transgender person has the right to appeal against the decision of district magistrate which designate under this thing. A welfare board has to be constituted. A transgender protection cell. You see, already this thing has been reflected in the Transgender Protection Act. But still the Jane Cossett judgment still reaffirm the same. It means from 2019 to 2025, still there's a need to work on that area. Still nothing happened that way. A nationwide toll-free helpline number has to be made up in that way. And you see the timeline. They have mentioned about within 3 months, the government across the state, they need to set up this thing judgment in implementation. But again, need to relook on that whether it really happened or not. I'm leaving for all of you to decide on it. Along with other judgment like Miss X versus State of Karnataka about a name change and gender updated on the certificate has been given in favor of Miss X. Vishwanathan Krishna Murthy was State of Andhra Pradesh about the trans woman legally entitled to be recognized as a woman under Indian law. Delhi High Court especially for giving the reservation for the individuals of the transgender in the public employment. As Susma versus Commissioner of Police by the Madras High Court about a different kind of terminologies, because a term, how do I address someone is also very important. Whether you are speaking someone in a derogatory language can also demotivate or give the negative connotation to that individual. Then Sonu Krishna Jaina versus State of Orissa. This is about how the pronounce has been to made. Use of preferred pronounce respect the person's choice and expression. Anjali Guru Sanjana Jan versus State of Maharashtra, because again to keep the reservation in the election also has been made up in that way, trans women for that. I'm just leaving this thing for the final food thought for you, how the Navjit Singh judgment has been a landmark for all of us, which has made decriminalization of Section 377. Leaving over here how things have been reflected upon. And also we need to come across that we have to get rid of the transphobia, which we are somewhere keeping in our back of the mind. I'm not saying in person we want to showcase that we are uh, having any kind of biasness, but somewhere we practice. We don't want to say in public. There's a thought, and that's why we need to get rid of the transphobia. With this particular small video presentation, with I will wind up my lecture, and again I'll request Manvendra sir to take it further from my end. This is a small video for all of you.
बदलाव के पहिए सिर्फ पन्नों पर नहीं, रास्तों पर भी चलने चाहिए ना।
With this, I'm winding up. Thank you so much for the patience hearing. And I will also now request, in case Manvendra sir, can you just switch on your camera so for all of us, sir? Manvendra sir, sir, am I audible to you, sir? Manvendra sir? Sir, your mic is switch off, sir. Please switch on the mic.
They're audible. Thank you, Dr. Saurabh Anand. It was a wonderful
That's
presentation. I really appreciate the fact that you brought about some very important points regarding the transgender community.
Thoughts also, in case if you add on something from your end, sir, if you want to share.
Yeah, I would definitely like to add some things. It is very important we work for the sexual health of the transgenders because since I have been working on the HIV/AIDS prevention and awareness program since a long time with the help of government of Gujarat, Ministry of Health, transgender population comes under the high risk behavior when it comes to HIV infections. At least we are able to secure the sexual because a lot of them are in sex work. And if we are able to provide job opportunities to them, we will be able to reduce the HIV infections within the sex work which is going on, and thereby we would be able to protect their sexual health. So that's a very important aspect. We have also been working on the transgender community has been identified as the HIV infected population, and we are working on that care and support as well through my organization, Lakshya Trust, where we are providing them food, nutrition, regular antiretroviral treatment through the civil hospitals, counseling. So those are some of the things which is important for them. Under Garima, which was started by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, my organization Lakshya Trust was the first to start the Garima Grah in the city of Vadodara, where we are providing food and shelter, but we are also providing training, skill building, capacity building to ensure that they could get gainful employment or self-employment, and thereby they are able to get financial independence and they are able to live a life of dignity and respect. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Manvinder sir, for sharing your
Thank
inputs
you,
for
sir.
today's session. Because a sir is associated for the rights of transgender since long time, and I also request Kalpesh sir to share his particular website Lakshya
Yes,
Trust,
yes,
in which,
I've shared in the
because
group,
that
sir.
will, because may because sir is one of the most vocal, I can say, individual for the cause of transgender across the globe. And this session can become much more fruitful because of
So
sir
good.
only, I can say. Thank you, sir, for sharing your time with us, because despite your busy schedule, I understand it's not so easy to accept on just one particular message. So thank you for so much, sir, for that, sir. Manvinder sir.
Sorry for interrupting you, sir.
Yeah.
There are some questions from the participants, sir.
Yeah.
The first question asked by Dr. Ruby, and the question is, what about those states which are not following the guidelines for the transgender?
Because already the act is there and it's a central government act. And already I mentioned in my presentation also that as per Justice Amitabh Roy committee report, only 13 states they have obviously designated transgender officers at this moment inside the jail. What about the rest 15 or 20, 16 over here? It means as an individual, as a law student, those who are going to become lawyers, those who are going to advocate, what shall be their role? Because we cannot expect the government will make an effort. We have to make a kind of community driven activity. Things can only work it out when we are making effort, whether we are filing a petition in the so motto on the particular, we want to say, just give me the information about in the RTI about the different designated officers who are being made up as per the act. Just get the information. These are some in public domain for all of us. How many officers we are having under the transgender for the inside the prison? Whether we are providing the basic, because as per 2022, I can say instruction by the Minister of Home Affairs, they are clearly instructed to all the prison authorities. Because the purpose that law cannot be just created from above. Law is from us only. Are people like me and you, those who are sitting over here, within which state you belong to. If you are making small effort, like I'll just give one illustration. Most of you we give the highest, I can say, respect to Upendra Bakshi. Upendra Bakshi himself was a teacher. Everyone knows about that. But many of the human rights judgment has made as his own petition made in the particular court, which land to the landmark judgment in the path of the human rights across the globe. So this thing which I need to, we cannot expect the government will make up. Government has made up. But what is state government? Whether the transgender council has been set up in the state or not, whether the jail officers are making that training or not. This is how, sir, if you want to say add anything, Manvinder sir.
Yes. See, with regard to the Transgender Welfare Board, Gujarat government has made and has initiated this process. Unfortunately, not much follow-up has been happening. We've been working with the Ministry of Social Justice Empowerment. Recently, we had Honorable Minister Dr. Shri Birendra Kumar visiting us, who's the Union Minister for Social Justice Empowerment. He visited Lakshya Trust, my organization in Baroda, and we got the transgender representatives to talk to him to ensure that how the implementation of the Trans Persons Protection Act can be seen in the various states, and especially Gujarat, because Gujarat is the seat of goddess Bahucharaji. Bahuchara Mata, as we all know, is the goddess of the transgenders, and she is worshipped by the transgenders from all across the country. And it is in Gujarat that the main temple exists. So we pointed out to the honorable minister that look, Gujarat being the main temple of Bahuchara Mata is in Gujarat. So Gujarat should be the role model, should have the this this transgender welfare board should be definitely be working here, and we to ensure that how the act could be implemented, whether it is pension, whether it is housing, whether it's education. And I would like to add that Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar Open University has ensured free education to the trans persons. And it is a very good initiative. I hope other universities also start doing this, because it is very important, because there are a lot of dropouts within the trans community because of bullying, because of discrimination happening. So if universities, colleges are able to offer education, support, and incentives, then I'm sure a lot of trans communities could get educated, and with education they could get better job opportunities, and that will help them in their empowerment.
I agree with him on this observation, because education is only one success which we can get more, I can say, empowerment, and also the kind of the structural barrier which we are creating that has to be settled out. Eh, There's another
Okay, sir.
question, if I'm not wrong, but Savita madam is there. Why are
Yes, sir.
transgender persons and under-trial prisoners considered vulnerable group in the criminal justice system? First of all, I made up in the starting only that first of all, our transgender communities are not so vulnerable at once upon a time, but now they have become. Because why they became? Because I mentioned in the presentation of my lecture also that after the colonial rules in India, especially we have made the gender identity only in the binary section, either male or female, and that's why any other have been put under the criminal activities under the criminal Notified Criminal Tribes Act of 1871, if not wrong, just a year I can just make it out. But with this, but they have put under all the transgender, all the people from those communities, they put under the criminal tribes. And later on, I mentioned in the presentation also ki with the Thomas Macaulay, the Lord Macaulay, which we say, Section 377 has been inserted in the IPC. So any kind of the other heterosexual relationship is considered as a sin and a punishable offense. And that is how these people become the lowest section of society, because slowly they had happened. It never happened one day. But again, we have to accept that in the colonial rule, it was draconian system. Things were too harsh. And later on, with the passing of so many years, now we have given that status to the people of the transgender communities, and they are the most vulnerable group. Second, I also mentioned in my presentation also that most of the people from this community, they belong to the Dalit, minorities, tribals, from the lower section, because these are those people, those who do not get any support within the family itself, do not get support from their own community and kith and kin also. That's why they become more accessible to get such kind of activity, to begging, to the sexual works. But again, there are people maybe from like who has got the access to economic, I can say, empowerment or better education facilities. They become the role model, but that number is very minimal. Majority of our members of the transgender community, they belong to this section, and that's why I mentioned they are the vulnerable. The prison authorities, the police system, they also harass them a lot. So this has to accept. That's why I say that's why they are under vulnerable group in the criminal justice system. That's why I mentioned also in my presentation also that in the prison only there are two barracks: male barracks, female barracks. And I also mentioned the story of the particular lady from Nagpur who has mentioned in her own Kiran and Dastan, Kiran Gavali, who has talked about her own identity that as a trans woman she has been kept in the male jail. How she has been treated almost for that years. So this is reality for all of us to know. Any other question from I can just have it anything?
Yes, sir. Another one question from Dr. Shakuntala Gowda. How they will be economically and socially empowered? What about the government vision about this?
We have the schemes. I'm not denying into it, but before getting any schemes to be accepted, we need to make them educationally empowered, and that is the duty for all of us to come across. One is the education. Just now in the starting only, Manuel sir also told that education bring a lot of prosperity for these people of the transgender. So education is the first thing, first step in that case. Second is about that everyone cannot be accepted that they will get the education support. There's also a kind of empathetic support from our end, that how we treat them. Like for example, when you're getting such kind of people in your locality, whether you are able to give them job in their own shop also. Think on that small step,
Yes,
whether
sir.
you are able to provide that support at your own organization over there. This is something
Sarji,
which has
can
been.
I add? Sarji, can I add to it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please.
Good evening, Sarji. Namaste. Thanks a lot for highly commendable your deliberations. And you answered my question. Honorable Maninder also answered. I am really very honorable to you. And just I wanted to add ki just of late I had an opportunity to attend a conference at Mumbai, and in which all these transgenders were there and the leader was there, and she was speaking so good English. I was really shocked to hear. And they had a group who were doing all the disaster management help and rehabilitation programs and all that that group was doing. And during the this past 2 months heavy rains in Mumbai, they were the group who were leading and rehabilitating our people. Instead of we helping them, they were helping our people. I had seen it on personally. I have seen it, and I met them, and they were so happy to talk to me. And really, and we are doing good all this pro bono work since 2010, sir. And we are. I'm really grateful to you for honoring us with all this new insightful act, rights, and all dignity. We really honor them, and our group also honor them. And every Diwali time we bring them all here and honor them, felicitate them, and they are very happy that we are treating them like our normal human beings. That is what I wanted to add, sir. Yeah. Thank you so much for giving me opportunity to talk to you. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you, Ruby ma'am. Already, just to add to you, our another speaker is Manasari. He himself is a global celebrity. We talk about the transgender rights across the world. So he has been at different labels at UN, at different kind of nation. He has worked and he's working tirelessly for the cause of transgender since long time. So if people like them, they are there those who can be the leaders for the future. So we expect, and also the people like you, Ruby ma'am, because you also accepting him in your day to day, I can say, activity. So this is thing which we want. The purpose of this kind of FDP through the I can support our Kalpesar and the K.L.E.'s Law College, Chikori. So we want to bring them as a kind of mainstream discussion. This should not be considered as a topic we should try to highlight or avoid somewhere. This should be the topic. Then only we can bring in the classroom with the new thoughts. How we are going to make our student to understand what are transgenders, who are transgender. That's why with the first video I saw, make you to see that there's so many different identities now we're having. There's nothing like one man and female only. So many new identities are adding to it. So as a student, as a teacher, we need to unlearn also ourselves. And that is the purpose for this kind of session. Can bring make and it's maybe we all of us in our law college, we have the legal service committee, yes or no? We have the legal service committee. In that you just
Yes,
ask
sir.
we just ask students, just do one RT under your legal service committee to know whether we in particular jail at your district, at your central jail in particular capital city of your state, whether you have the designated prison transgender officers are there, not in your jail, what kind of back support they are getting. You just ask under your particular act in itself. You
If I
see the
see
change.
them, if I see them begging on roadside, I will get down from my vehicle and call them to one side and talk to them. Didi, don't do all these things. I am there to help you out. Please tell your
Thank
group
you.
that I'm here. You take my number. Call me. I will help you
Thank,
out, but don't do begging side on this roadside.
thank you,
And
ma'am.
then
Thank
they smile. They smile.
you.
They thank you and all that they will say.
Yes,
They
ma'am.
don't beg.
Yes, madam. Like, we go for highway. They will, in the middle of the highway, they will stop. You might, all of might have seen on highway itself, between the road, they will ride. So whenever they stop and then they ask for the money. So that already
So
all of
they
you have
need for
seen.
more social awareness, not a legal awareness, social awareness we need to create.
Actually, actually.
Because then only
It's
we can understand, because then is a need for bringing them in the mainstream. You see a centuries, not today, 200 years, 300 years, 500 years back, we're just taking you back,
yes,
that they have been kept in the begging work, in the sexual activities. How suddenly you can understand that they will get rid of that.
true,
There
true,
is
true.
socio-cultural barrier with them.
So
So
like
that
same, like
need to
we
be,
have.
then only the law will be more effective.
Yeah, law alone won't solve the problem. Like we have law on senior citizen, transgender, and then again we need some social initiative. Like Manvi Desai is doing other things, social initiative, social enterprise. and make, include them in mainstream. Otherwise, we have been
We should not
treating
have
them
that kind of discriminatory
outsider.
thoughts whenever we meet any transgender people in our next to sitting. That particular video which we have made to see, that the moment you see a small thing, how the mother reacts when the particular transgender is approaching over there. They just want to save the child. This child should not. You see this kind of the mental blockage. So that need to be.
Uh, Good evening, everyone.
Yes,
My
ma'am.
name is Anna Makai. If can I please share some thoughts
Yes, ma'am.
of mine? My name is Anna Makai, and I'm a PhD scholar working on transgender rights in Kashmir. Mine is a socio-legal topic. Since we are raising these issues, and it was wonderful to listen to your presentation and Manvinder sir's insights on HIV prevention steps taken by the government of Gujarat. But I would also like to raise some questions regarding the Transgender Act and the issues therein. And as you rightly said, the social part of it. Firstly, I think yes, we do have an act, but the act is more of a skeletal legislation, not much flesh has been added to it. And you rightly pointed that there is a right to education and there is a right to employment therein, that there should be no discrimination. But when we, as you also rightly pointed out, that our whole society, our whole infrastructure is binary structure. So, in considering that we are still stuck in the male female structural society, structural economy, structural educational institutions. Um, how do we um, include the transgender persons into that binary structure is something that has been come to my knowledge while my research, that this is one of the biggest problems in implementing the Transgender Act. So, say for example, when I interviewed some transgender persons from Kashmir, I asked that why you do not pursue education, because most of the uh, sample was below the secondary level of education, and the reasons that they shared were very different from what I had expected them to. I was expecting them to say that we are bullied or not, we are not treated right, but instead they said that no, it's because we don't feel that we belong, because we feel like that we are women inside and we are made to sit with the uh, males of the class. So that these kinds of issues were raised by them, which therefore I think it's, as you also rightly pointed out, that more data needs to be collected, that what exactly are the problems of the transgender persons of each region, each area. So for example, a rural area transgender population may face different problems from one that is a metropolitan area. Similarly, in the educational field, we do not have reservations. Reservation scheme panned out by the central government as of now. That what, where do they stand? अगर ट्रांसजेंडर्स को reservation मिलनी है तो किस basis पे मिलनी है? Horizontal होगी, and what percentage? So we are seeing that the state governments are giving uh, as per their women caprice. Some Karnataka government is giving 1%, some other government is not giving anything. So there's no coordination between the states. And these things I have highlighted in my thesis and some of my papers as well. So there is a lack of cohesion in how we are addressing the transgender rights issues in India and within the states in India. And yes, as you rightly pointed out, a lot of work needs to be done at the social level, but law is a tool for such implementation. Law is a tool for bringing about social change. But unfortunately, despite having transgender welfare boards, transgender welfare uh, schemes, none of them is implemented. The boards are not. They are not conducting any meetings. The policies are not being implemented. They're just on paper. So that is something that also needs to be taken into account while when we discuss the Transgender Rights Act, the transgender rights movement, and the lacunas thereof. Because an act on paper, if it does not transform anything in the rights of the persons, what uh, uh, solution does it provide? So thank you so much. Thank you so much
Thank you so much,
for
Anam ma'am, for
patient hearing.
sharing thoughts. Already you have mentioned, because first of all, any kind of law become effective with the people where we live in. You understand? Maybe today we talk about a certain kind of law, like for example, Sati Abolition Act, we talk about it. So today, if the Sati has been completely, I can say, abolished from India because of the community acceptance of the law. Otherwise, many laws which we consider that it is there, but it doesn't make become effective because people are totally sidelining or totally silent on it. So we have that. I'm not saying to try. It is only the last act which we can have, because whatever highlights you have just mentioned, madam, can become much more better with the much more research can be made up in that particular law. When more such community leaders from the transgender communities or from the non-transgender, like people like me and you, who are working for transgender, can speak about that, write about it, what are necessary amendments need to be made up in that, and with the different kind of public opinion to be created, then only, because anything can happen when the people raise the voice. Otherwise, people don't consider that they are to be part of the mainstream society. Today we are talking about the things are changing. People are, they are so openly now coming across. Like we have the rainbow parade, which we say, which we find most of the city nowadays happening. What the purpose that particular parade which we talk about it about on 31st of March? Because just to give that kind of identity which they want to express, maybe this thing can become the voice of the others, then only things can change. And definitely we need more, make more than economic empower, then only they get rid of begging, they can get rid of any inhuman activity. Otherwise things are still situations like already you stated, that people are have the lack of awareness of the legal rights, they don't have the understanding. And only I agree with you that still every state have their own kind of understanding. Some state is providing, some the state doesn't provide at all anything for the reservation for transgender. So that thing need to be done, ma'am. I accept your viewpoint, ma'am. Kalpesh sir, over to you.
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for Saurabh sir, Manvinder sir, for your insightful talk on this particular very sensitive topic, I would say, and more things to be done. I would say nothing has been, I would say, negligible things have been done for the transgender so far. So a lot of things, and they have actually stated, acceptance by the society. Law were there before independence, and then we got rid of those particular laws at certain point of time. Again, these evils are there still in the society, including this one. Now request principal sir to give a phone vote of thanks to Saurabh sir and Manendra sir.
सर थोड़ा सा ऐड करो.
मैम टाइम टाइम हो रहा है सॉरी सॉरी मैम आई
एक
नीड टू
सेकंड
स्टॉप
खाली
मैम
बोलने दो
मैम
मुझे.
मैम 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 सॉरी
ओके 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 ओके.
मैम
Yes, thank you so much, respected Saurabh Anand sir, respected Manvinder Singh Goyal ji. Thank you for your insights on the topic, which need to be discussed in more length and breadth, because this is a social issue wherein it need to be discussed with utmost time and detail. However, both of you have wonderfully emphasized on the topic and enriched our understanding on the same issues. For that, on behalf of the organizing committee, on behalf of Dr. Kalpesh Kumar Gupta ji, and on behalf of all of us, I extend a deep sense of gratitude for the session. Thank you, sir. Yes, over to Kalpesh Kumar, sir.
thank you Saurabh sir Manoj sir for joining
Sir,
now we'll take maybe 10-15 minutes oral feedback. So today is the final day, so I request participants please raise your hand and share your experience thought any feedback from your side for particular program. Yes, please raise hand or you can unmute yourself and speak one by one. Yes, any other participant? Ruby madam, you can start. Sorry, I have to interrupt you. Yeah. Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good evening, sir. It was all very wonderful journey of this feast of knowledge all these days from 9 to 14. And all resource persons were highly commendable. Only one thing that today what I learned is much more than what how justice is for all. We are simply saying justice for all. Is it there? Practically नहीं, है ना? तो हम ये यही है कि हमने जहाँ पे जरूरत है वहां पे उनको जस्टिस देना ही देना है कैसे भी करके. I was appointed by NALSA as a retainer lawyer for our DRSA Pune. And then they are not supporting us with all funds and all that. We have to spend. And they should give in proper time limit. And how you want us to be there in time limit, work everything in time limit, then funds also should come in time limit. Only then we can work happily with this pro bono services to everyone. Then justice for all. Isn't it? That is my message to everybody. Justice for all is there. But please work on it practically, not only in theory. Thank
Thank you,
you.
thank you, thank you,
God
ma'am.
bless. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
thank you, ma'am. Yes, any other participant? You can share your experience, feedback. Please unmute yourself. We will obviously float the Google form, feedback form. So we need some oral feedback from your side. Yes, anyone?
Namaste, sir. This is Jyoti Remat,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, please.
Principal B.V. Bellad Law College, Belagavi, of same sister concern K.L.E.Society's college, sir. One feedback I wanted to give is that I attended many FDPs, but the one difference with pro bono I observed is that you have given us the resource persons who have also enlightened us not knowledge wise but practical experiences and practical problems. We have understood not theory but practicals more, and I think by their experiences through our legal aid cells of the colleges, we can add into more about the access to justice to all type of persons what you have told us, like it may be disabled persons or today's transgender persons and all. So I feel that is one additional feature what I observed in FDP, and I think that is the exclusiveness of pro bono, that you brought us across the practical experiences. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, ma'am. Again, that was the idea to give us some practical insight. And then when I got the proposal from K.L.E. Law College Chikodi principal sir, and then so that was again focusing on access to justice. Then I thought of how to do, because already we did course on legal aid course. We did like more than 20 20 hours. We thought of
Correct.
like we had to like differentiate with those particular, because it was extensive one. So in a week we thought of, let us focus on women, children, senior citizen, different level people, one day. It's very focused one rather than focusing on access
Yeah,
to
generalized.
justice.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
ma'am. Yeah, like
Yeah.
maybe one
Thank
to
you,
two
sir.
days. So that was again, I'm also feeling good, like we could
Correct, sir.
deliver collectively with this particular program.
Yes,
Yes,
sir. I also have a
yes, ma'am.
feedback to give.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Anam this side. So I think you have done a wonderful job, just like every time, raising socio-legal issues, because NEP is all about multidisciplinary research and multidisciplinary studies, and that you have raised social issues, and that too through a legal perspective. I think that really adds to our knowledge, and I think that is a commendable step taken by you and your team and and all the speakers and participants who are here. So thank you so much.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. Yes. Any other participants?
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening,
May
ma'am.
I audible to all?
Yes, yes, madam.
Sir, I would like to thank you for organizing such an insightful FDP session on access to justice. This session effectively highlighted the practical challenges as the role of legal aid and need of accessible legal process. And today's topic is my research topic. So it was highly relevant for not only me, for all legal academicians. Sir, thank you once again.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. So where are you doing for your PhD? Because I can see Annam and you and maybe other participants, maybe or maybe not participant for this particular program, doing research on this particular topic. So it's a
Yes,
great
sir.
thing here. So again, Like obviously we have restriction, like for example we can force focusing, like Anam is focusing on, like JNK. I don't know what's your focus area in this particular topic, so we can have a comprehensive outcome so on this
Sir, I
particular
have
topic.
dropped actually a question. Legal adoption rights, on adoption rights, the law is silent for the third gender. And we are trying to focus on this topic, a special reference to adoption right in my research.
Okay, okay, it's a
Madam, just to
yes
add you,
ma'am.
Monasri ma'am, you can
Yes,
check
sir.
the details on, which is available on the Supreme Court. There's a particular, I can say, handbook training manual being created for the judges on the transgender rights. So, because at this moment, this adoption law is not acceptable for the transgender this moment. At this moment, I'm saying maybe in future it may happen, but at this moment it's not permissible. So, but again, there is some much more clarity for the different kind of judgments being delivered across the high courts and other things which can be quite useful for your PhD work, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. Any other feedback from participants? We
Yes,
wind up
sir.
in 2 3 minutes. Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Good evening. I'm Neha Damani from Udaipur. I'm a legal researcher. So I just wanted to add few lines that I have really learned a lot. I'm working as a faculty at University College of Law as well. So these subjects, I must appreciate these subjects which you were chosen, subjects which were chosen were beautifully, and the how they were presented. It was completely, I can see, a strong legal perspective. So I have attended few FDPs earlier as well, but this was seriously, I can say, the way it was explained from a clear legal perspective, much appreciated. Thank you so much, sir, for that.
Yes. Thank you very much, Neha. Yes. Any other participants? So really, like please do not give credit to me. I keep telling I do only 30% effort in pro bono law teachers, whatever program we are doing. Credit goes to resource persons, institution, and participants. Let me tell you, I have seen some participant like Ruby ma'am is there, and you are also telling other participant keep attending many programs. Many times I ask why you are attending all the programs. Sir, आपके program में मजा आता है. So it's a big credit for all of us to big, I would say, for as an organizer, to keep doing and keep thinking and come up with some out of box topic not discussed so far. Thank you very much. Yes, maybe we can take up last feedback and then we'll close. Yes, any other feedback from participants? Yes, any last feedback? Any feedback from KLE Chikoti team, sir? Your feedback or any other student faculty feedback? Then we'll close. Yes, any other feedback? Let me tell you, like, I don't
Yes,
always think, come up with this
So,
topic sometime from my side, and then, sometime from organizer side also, like, partner institution side also, they suggest, sir, let us do this thing, or we discuss, mutually and then plan out. So not always I come up with that particular theme. So keep this thing in mind. So don't appreciate me all the time. Credit goes to all team. Yes, sir. Yeah, over to you. We'll wind up in 2 3 minutes. Yes.
Good evening, sir. Myself Pratishta, General Secretary of K.L.E.Society's Law College, Chikodi. So, for Pro Bono India, I thank with my heart for organizing such a beautiful event and making pride of our college, sir. And every section from 1 day to 7 day were too good, sir. And we have learned lot of things which has helped us in the future. I thank you, sir. And we are waiting for a future again. We want to join with you and do again like FDP, sir. So we are waiting for future, sir. And thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. So do Solapuri, sir. After you can close. Over to you, sir.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Uh, Esteemed resource persons, distinguished faculty members, and dear participants. As we come to close the session, the enriching 7-day faculty development program. Indeed, it is my proud privilege to deliver vote of thanks on behalf of organizing committee. Today marks the end of an important academic and professional journey, and we are truly honored to have your gracious presence for this valedictory session. First and foremost, I extend my heartfelt thanks to our management for their constant encouragement and supporting in making this faculty development program a possible one. We are deeply grateful to our distinguished resource persons who shared their expertise, insights, and experiences with us. Each session has been thought provoking, inspiring, and has broadened our horizons as educators. Sir and madams, your valuable contributions have not only enhanced our knowledge but also motivated us to innovate our teaching practices. Thank you all. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Kalpesh Kumar Gupta ji, founder Pro Bono India, for taking initiatives and guiding us diligently to organize this meaningful program. Thank you, sir. Sir, with your due assent, we are expecting many more such programs in days to come in association with your esteemed organization. I also extend gratitude to Dr. Jyoti Ji Hireman, Principal, K.L.E. Society's B.U. Belad Law College, Belgavi, for her concerned support and active participation in the FDP program. Thank you so much, ma'am. I sincerely thank all the participants for your active involvement, enthusiasm, and commitment throughout these 7 days. Your questions, discussions, and reflections added immense value to the program. The success of this FDP truly lies in your engagement and willingness to learn. Thank you all. A special thank of word and appreciation to the organizing committee, especially Professor S.D. Kaji, the coordinator of this faculty development program, Mr. Sridhar Shiratti, Mr. Poonanand Ghali, Ms. Pratishtha Shetty, Mr. Darshan Bidroli, Mr. Sanket Teli, the technocrats whose meticulous planning and tireless efforts ensured the smooth conduct of every session. Thank you all. The word of appreciation to the administrative staff who work behind the scenes to ensure seamless coordination. Without their support, this program would have not been possible. Thank you all. I also take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all my colleagues who always shows their dedication and cooperation in all our endeavors. Thank you all. As we conclude, let us carry forward the knowledge, skill, inspiration gained here into our classrooms and institutions. May this faculty development program serves as a stepping stone for greater collaboration, innovation, and excellence in our academic journey. On behalf of everyone present here, I once again express my deepest gratitude to all who contributed to the grand success of this program. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the opportunity,
Thank
sir.
you, everyone, once again.
Great year. I would say one of the best teamwork, sir. Let me tell you. I have not. I already dropped in the group. Great teamwork, including you. I have not seen like this is the first time I'm listening. Like, everybody is there, from principal to faculty, students, IT team is there and conduct this program. So it's a great. I would say you set up a benchmark for other. I would say institutions. Otherwise, what happens when two people will be there? Program is going on. But it's a great
Yes.
teamwork. I would say. Sir. Commendable job. Thank you,
Indeed,
sir.
indeed, a credit even goes to you also. You inspired the way you act upon, the way you respond upon, sir. That inspired us to take up this thing, and indeed, it has resulted a wonderful teamwork as such, sir.
Sure, thanks. No, sometimes I told you different experience. I keep telling ये होना चाहिए, but
Ah, sir.
not happens. Like this happens. I'm telling I'm like one point I'm telling you should also come up with sir this is the arrangement. So that way it becomes multiplier. Otherwise, two things are I'm telling you are doing, but I'm telling more than putting your effort. So that becomes grand success. Otherwise, sometimes we conducted 1 month program also. Sometimes we have
Yes.
having a lot of pressure in 1 week program because things are not going like communication, like recording, live streaming, things happening, and immediately we are sharing all things, all communication that we are doing. So it's a great teamwork, sir. Look forward to see you in. Thank you,
Yes.
sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you once again. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
sir.
Thank you, sir.